Hotep, Black Power, as always, giving honor to the Creator, the ancestors, my sister, Chief of Staff, Brother Harris Abdul, my father, my in-laws, and all of my subscribers, my listeners, my followers, my watchers, the street law soldiers, and all of our ancestors that are in the ancestral realm, and the brothers and sisters that are fighting for our liberation and salvation of our black nation. Today, I'm going to discuss the Unsung Heroes. And this has a lot to do with this so-called Memorial Day bullshit, where, they celebrate the war heroes, which came from, which was created in ancient Kemet, and that's the reason why. If you get the book by Tony Browder, Washington on the Egypt on the Potomac, it will explain to you. Dr. Browder explains how, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and it rises over the capital, and it sets on the west bank of the Potomac, and that's where Arlington Cemetery is, to represent, or symbolic, if you will, of the fallen heroes and soldiers. And so, nevertheless, a lot of our brothers and sisters fought, to the bloody end in every war that the United Snakes has started with other countries and other people, even with themselves, and was never credited. The real heroes were never credited, and which was us. Our brothers and sisters fought in the Civil War on both sides, had them fighting each other, and it made it appear like they were fighting for slavery. They weren't fighting to free slaves. This was about the economy. This was about the imbalance of the economy. So the economic war, more than a civil war, because, the white man is uncivilized. So it couldn't have been a civil war unless you were just talking about the black man. And we fought, and they made movies like Glory, where, watered down versions of our ancestors' experiences. Where they walked in the wintertime with no shoes, and this cracker expected them to fight for them while they had on boots, fur boots and all this type of shit. And our brothers and sisters were literally walking barefoot in snow. This Buffalo Soldier shit. About don't get me wrong, I still give my ancestors honor and respect. But a lot of times we were tricked in doing some shit that, really didn't benefit us in the long run. World War I on San Juan Hill, the Rough Riders with Teddy Roosevelt, one of the most racist presidents in U.S. history. Let me repeat that. One of the most racist presidents in United States history. But yet, without us, World War I would have been a loss. And where they had us, our ancestors fighting in Africa and everywhere. Fighting in Puerto Rico and you know, fighting the brown man, the yellow man, the red man. World War II. You know, where these same brothers that you see, when it was time to eat, they had to go in the back of the dining hall and eat. While the enemy that was captured sat and broke bread with the white soldiers in the dining hall. The enemy broke bread with the white man in the dining hall, but yet the black man had to go be in the back of the dining hall to eat. Tuskegee Airmen. You know, see, and what happened, you know, our ancestors were tricked into believing that when they got back home, things were going to be different, that they would have been treated like men. It was just a trick. It was just a trick to bring the best out of our ancestors. Because when they got back home, things were much worse. And then at the same time, when they were at the war, you know, the white soldiers and these officers would go behind our ancestors' backs and tell the French women that our ancestors had tails and shit like that. Because the French women were on the melanated brothers. Korea. You don't hear a lot about Korea, but it was a bloody battle. As a matter of fact, my father fought in Korea at age 19 and was severely wounded, shot in the head. You know, and came home and still had to work 2 jobs, working from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. And the only thing he got less than $100 a month for being shot in the head by a rice-eating, onion breath-smelling goop motherfucker. You know, and then they got this Wounded War Project where these white boys getting, you know, 5 digits a month for lesser shit. They don't even have to get shot. All they have to say is they can't sleep at night. A lot of them don't even have to be in combat. Some of them didn't have no physical combat, but say they hit bombs at night, you know, and they get a ton of fucking money every month. All types of benefits. All types of discounts. Vietnam. Another trap. Another trap. Which set our brothers and sisters up where our brothers came home strung the fuck out off dope. And alcoholics, winos and heroin addicts. Those heroin addicts that you see on the corner, bent all over, you know, from all types of pills and massive doses of methadone and alcohol and heroin. 9 times out of 10, those were Vietnam vets. And see, with Marvin Gaye, this is one of the reasons he was murdered, because Marvin Gaye woke a lot of the brothers over Vietnam up with what's going on. He gave them hope, in which Nixon did not want. And so the Vietnam War was a war that's never been acknowledged, and was one of the most longest wars and one of the most bloodiest wars in United States history. You know, some of our brothers went over there and fought and were heroes, true heroes, saved many lives. You know, and came back home, couldn't get a job, couldn't get anything. Desert Storm. George Bush, which Bin Laden turned on his own people, and George Bush went over there and tried to take the oil from the people. But since he couldn't do it, he's a fucking coward. He used our brothers to go over there, you know, where a sandstorm could wipe, you know, 100 to 200 men out at one time. Another unrecognized, unappreciated war. The war in Afghanistan, which they tried to do a reenactment of the Vietnam War by putting the majority of black soldiers in the poppy fields in Afghanistan. In hopes that they will come home turned up and turned out. As you see this picture of these brothers, this is open. These are poppy fields that they're in. And a lot of them had came home as well. Benefits were limited. All for this flag. Red, white, and blue. Red for the blood, white for the people, in which they gave everybody of color the blues. And these brothers come home standing in unemployment lines. No jobs, no unemployment benefits. They were heroes for the white man. They come home, they're nothing. They're spat on, looked upon, have to resort to beg for change at the traffic lights. And the same people that they fought for so they can have the luxuries of not living in a bomb shelter, they won't even give these brothers $1. And then a lot of them get fed up with everything. Some of them running banks. Some of them do some of the most horrific shit because they've had enough of this country. And they end up in the penitentiary. Because hooping and hollering, you know, in the church doesn't work all the time. You know, joining different religions. You know, and if these religions got together, Nation of Islam, Hebrew Israelites, you know, Sunni Muslims. Like I said, you know, Christians, Christianity, Nation of Islam, Hebrew Israelites, Sunni Islam, Nuwapians, Moorish Americans, Revolutionary Black Panthers, and even this so-called conscious community, which I truly believe is just a for entertainment entertainment and hustling purposes. Because instead of selling dope, you sell information. And then you create these beefs and, just a whole lot of drama to keep our brothers and sisters in the mindset of being drama kings now. Where the men are doing just as much cackling, backbiting, gossiping, calling the police than the sisters. And to be honest, to me, this is our military right here. I respect these G's to the utmost. The only problem that they have, the only issue, major issue that they have, is that they think that one another is the enemy. And if they are educated properly and educated properly as to who the real enemy is and how they have played a hand in their own destruction, not only of themselves, but their families, their children, that they will one day wake up and see the light. Because they have the heart to battle. There's no question about that. More heart than the rest of those organizations and movements I just showed you. With the exception of the Revolutionary Black Panther Party and the Street Law Soldiers, which is in Washington, D.C., headed by myself. And that's a strong military. I don't believe no Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines can beat them. And when people say, the white man got the Army and the Navy. No, he doesn't. Because it's just as many people of color in those different divisions of the military that they are white. And so they will really be at a disadvantage when half of their own soldiers turn on them with these gangs backing them up. Because the Army is a gang, the National Guard is a gang, the Marines is a gang, the Air Force is a gang, the FBI is a gang, FEMA is a gang, the police departments are gangs. They have the same mentality. Did you something to one of them, they're going to ride down on you. Same mentality. One can kill you legally opposed to the other. That's the only difference. So while we wave our flags, and I respect every other movement and organization for having their own independence and their own individuality. From Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, and the rest of the leaders of our organizations who decided to create an army. The Hebrew Israelites to create a force. Moors, Americans, Nation of Islam, New Wapians, Revolutionary Black Panther Party. Once again, which I believe they, right now, as far as a black movement, they're the only ones which I believe are true to the game. So, what do we do from here, brothers and sisters? Think about it. Memorial Day is coming up. Who are we going to remember? You got these rolling 60s, whatever these angels, whatever these people call that, all these crackers on these motorcycles, the rolling thunder. You know, these crackers, they can ride 1,000 deep from city to city with a police escort. But when our youth ride their dirt bikes in the street, it's a crime. Specifically, they just murdered a young man in Washington, D.C. Just murdered him on his dirt bike. But yet these crackers, you know, with rags around their head, because whether you're blood or a crip, a red or blue, what about a red, white, and blue flag? You got a bandana you got wrapped around you with a big ass hunting knife on your side, brass knuckles, making all this fucking noise. There's 2,000 or 3,000 of you motherfuckers coming in from city to city. But you get a police escort. Because a lot of you all are part of the white militia, that they have so many militia groups up in the mountains in Montana, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, that you all preparing for racial insurrection in this country, because you know that you all have wronged black people for over 500 fucking years. And if you don't want, if you're not going to get down and fight for your freedom, for your children and your grandchildren, be quiet. Don't try to influence our people that, you know, our ancestors weren't slaves and this white slave bullshit, you know, as a way to water down the pain and suffering and the loss of life of our ancestors. So you won't have to ask for reparations. See, all this propaganda we got to get rid of. We got to let this shit go. You know, and for you youth, you know, try to make something of yourselves. Stand up, study. You have to study your history and your herstory, so you'll know where you come from. You'll know what sacrifices your ancestors made for you to be here, for you to have the privileges, the little bit of privileges that you have in the United States. So Memorial Day, you know, a lot of our people are going to, you know, cook out and, you know, have parties and all this shit, you know, for what? You know, as always, I hope that I've been informative, and to all my subscribers, you know, those that I know by heart, Brian Simpson, Heather Washington, and if I didn't mention, you don't, you know, charge it to my head, not my heart. But I appreciate all of you that correspond with me and give me your honest opinion of what you think of the videos. And so until we meet again, as always, Hotep, Black Power.